Hola, bienvenidos a todos. Buenas noches. Good evening. This is Abelardo de la Peña Jr., Director of Marketing and Communications with La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, welcoming you to Wednesday's edition of En Casa con la Plaza. En Casa con la Plaza is our way of bringing the best of our community's history, art, and culture from our home to yours via these presentations, conversations, demonstrations, and performances. We've been doing this since April of 2020. Since the pandemic, a couple months into the pandemic, but keeping things going, keeping the community engaged as we get culture, art, history, and more to you. Our sponsors are PepsiCo and Kaiser Permanente. If you're joining us on Zoom, please use the comment section to let us know where you're viewing from. Also use the Q&A feature to ask questions, and we'll answer them, if not during, at least when at the tail end of the presentations. If you're on Facebook, please make comments, ask questions. You can start a watch party. I'll be doing the same thing myself. Today we have a great program for you. It is art and culture during COVID-19 with two leaders in our community. Kathy Gallegos from Avenue 50 Studio and Michael Centeno from Tía Chucha, Centro Cultural and Bookstore. As a way of introduction, Kathy is a Cuban, Puerto Rican American born in New York City, who came to California during the turbulent 60s. She became a political activist in the 70s and 80s, working on a left-wing newspaper in the graphics department. In the 80s, she visited Nicaragua to paint a mural and twice to Cuba for their international art biennales. From 95 to 96, she lived in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, exploring the art of Central America. Her social and cultural activism led to her founding of Avenue 50 Studio in Highland Park, championing issues of social responsibility. Since 2000, she's been the director of Avenue 50 Studio. Michael Centeno, he's the executive director of Tía Chucha's. He's been a consistent Tía Chucha's volunteer since the space opened in 2001, organizing a weekly film series, then moving to the role of Centro coordinator when the nonprofit was established in 2003. 2006, he moved on to work for the LA Department of Cultural Affairs and other youth development organizations such as the Youth Policy Institute and Youth Speak Collective, eventually making his way to become part of the board of directors for Tía Chucha's. Michael has over 10 years experience in multimedia production with an emphasis in film production, passionate about media literacy in underserved communities. In 2015, he was officially hired as development director for Tía Chucha's, and since February of 2018, the board of directors voted him as executive director. So welcome, Kathy and Michael, and also joining us tonight is Nica Aguino with Avenue 50. So let's all say hi. All right, there you go. That's who they are. That will be on view today. And we'll start with Kathy. So Kathy, please join us, unmute, and let's hear all about Avenue 50 Studio and what's been going on during the pandemic.
Okay, well, thank you, Abelardo, and En Casa con la Plaza for inviting the Avenue 50 to present today. For those of you who don't know the Avenue 50, we've been around since 2000. Our mission is to build bridges of understanding amongst communities. We have a focus on the Latino community. And monthly, we've hosted 3 to 5 exhibitions in all of our spaces here in the Avenue 50. So I'm going to share my screen. And what do I do next, Abelardo? What do I hit next?
Sure, you hit the screen that has your presentation, and then you click on the share button at the bottom right, I believe it is.
Okay, it doesn't show my
your presentation?
Presentation, no.
Okay, did you open your presentation? Is it open on your screen?
It should be. I opened it on my screen.
Okay, then go ahead and click on share screen at the bottom.
Let me just double check to make sure that it's open on my screen. I hope Nica has the presentation. And she's our digital content coordinator. She knows more than I do about what's going on here. Let me see, hit share screen again. No, it doesn't have it there.
Kathy,
Whiteboard,
do
it has,
you
yes.
do you have PowerPoint open?
How do I move the screen, the Zoom screen out of the way?
Are you on full screen?
It's full screen.
Oh, so hit escape.
Escape. Oh, okay. It is open. Yes, it's
Okay.
open.
So yes, now your PowerPoint program is open. So on the bottom of your screen on Zoom, there should be a green button that says share screen. Do you see it?
Yes, and I've hit that button and it doesn't have anything. It has basic, advanced, and files. Let me see, advanced. Files. Nope, doesn't have it. It does not have it. I'm so sorry. Desktop 1, whiteboard, iPhone, keynote unknown.
Oh. What are the choices again when you press share screen?
Desktop 1, whiteboard, iPhone, iPad via AirPlay, iPhone, iPad via cable, and keynote unknown.
Maybe desktop 1?
Allow Zoom to share your screen.
Yes.
Open. So then I have to open the system preferences.
Oh boy. Sorry, everyone, troubleshooting.
Yeah.
That's quite all right. This is almost on par for En Casa con la Plaza. There's always some kind of technical glitch going on, but our viewers out there are very understanding, and they know that not all of us are completely literate, no matter how long we've been at it. So
I haven't been at it long, but Nica knows. I'm wondering if Nica could possibly share. I shared it with her earlier today.
Okay,
and
let me open my email.
Maybe my iPad just doesn't
okay,
want
how
to.
about if we do this? Let's go ahead and if we could have Michael start off. Yeah, start off our presentation. Michael, is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Okay, we have Michael Centeno, Executive Director of Tía Chucha's Centro Cultural and Bookstore. Take it away, Michael.
Thank you, Abelardo. Thank you, everyone. I just wanna start by just acknowledging and honoring the Tataviam, Chumash, Tongva, and all the original peoples of the land upon which we stand on, all the ancestors that came before us and those to become ancestors in the future. We're really happy to be here, a part of Casa con Plaza. That's such a great name too, by the way. such a great name for this series. My name is Michael Centeno. I'm the Executive Director of Tía Chucha Centro Cultural. Our mission is to transform community in the Northeast Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, literacy, community engagement. And we're really excited because this year we're celebrating our 20-year anniversary. And as Abelardo mentioned in the beginning, I started out at Tía Chucha as a volunteer. I was 20 years old 20 years ago, and fresh out of high school. And there wasn't really much arts and culture in this area, and there was nothing like a space like Tía Chucha's. And so when they first opened up, I went to go introduce myself. I'm a filmmaker as well, so I was like, I'm an artist. I should go just check it out and see what's going on. And then I started volunteering. Like a lot of the programs that started at Tía Chucha's, a lot of it just started organically from community members, artists that wanted to volunteer their talents and offer it to the community. I was born in, I grew up here in this area my whole life, and it was a really important place for me. And having witnessed myself how the impact of the organization had on my life, as many of our current staff, I think that's why we work so hard at making sure that we could continue what was started and keep that energy going. So we're very fortunate to be able to. I feel very fortunate to be in the position I'm in to continue the work that was started 20 years ago by obviously our co-founders, Luis Rodriguez, Trini Rodriguez, and Enrique Sanchez. And so, flash forward to 2020, and obviously, like we were we're going full steam. You know, we're excited for our programming for the year, like many other organizations, I'm sure. And one of the big ones that we were excited for was our annual Celebrating Words Festival. The festival is a literacy festival, the only literacy festival in the San Fernando Valley. And this 2020 was going to be our 15th annual. So we're really excited about that. And we wanted to, you know, our festival coordinator, Karina Ceja, had a great vision for the festival and really wanted to make sure we go all out and big for our 15th. Obviously, we're planning to do this in May. And then March came, and, you know, there is a lot of just overall, I think, uncertainty, right? Because the initial stay-at-home orders was like 2 weeks, I think, and then, you know, then I think there's some idea, there's ideas that things will go back to normal in the summer, right? For some reason, and then, so there's just a lot of unknowns and uncertainties. So, fortunately, our funders were flexible, and I think that was kind of the first piece that we needed to figure out, right? Like, what does this mean in terms of like our contracts and our funding partners? And they're flexible, and then we just started to adapt. And that was, we adapted some of our other programs in other ways, which I'll talk about, but I wanted to start by talking about the festival, because this was a festival that, you know, what happened in Pacoima, and that we also implemented a book giveaway. So we would distribute free books to the community as well, in addition to having our bookstore selling books as well. But, you know, it's an outdoor festival. And so to adapt it to online, I think was challenging. But again, our festival coordinator and all our staff really stepped up to re-envision and reimagine a different approach. And one of our board members, Johnny Fung, also has a background in multimedia, and he really helped us out a lot with the streaming technology component. And I was very excited that we were able to stream all of our programs across all of our social media platforms simultaneously. So we're, you know, streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. All of our programs, we distributed supplies for participants to take part in it, and then we culminated in a drive-through giveaway that was, you know, COVID safe. So I'm gonna share our highlight video of the festival, and then so then we could start. Then I'll go into some of the other programs that we've been doing. Let's see.
We're here today culminating our full week of virtual programming. So we started last Monday on the 22nd, and we've been hosting online workshops and online programming all throughout the week. And we focused on bringing the arts and making them accessible to our community by providing them with materials so that they can join us online. We've had everything from art workshops to like writing workshops, music jams, DJs, performances. That's culminating all today here with our book giveaway drive-thru. We're really excited to be doing this. It's our second year of giving out free books. We have all kinds of books for toddlers, children, middle school kids, youth, young adults, and then also adults. And then our Spanish-speaking community also has books. We have books for them too. Yeah, today we're doing a drive-through style to make sure that we're following the safety guidelines in this time of the pandemic, and we're really excited to be here.
So that was just a quick highlight video of kind of what we did for that week. So we turned a day festival into a week-long showcase of programs where people signed up for workshops, and we distributed packets, right? I think we distributed like over 300 kits. And then people would then watch online live while the instructor would be giving the workshop. Then we did some pre-recorded videos that were also uploaded. And then we culminated, like I mentioned before, with the drive-through book giveaway. So we're really, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of learning in that process, but I think it really kind of set the tone for the rest of the year as it came to like virtual programming. Immediately before we kind of figured out all of that and the Zoom, we started to do a lot of stuff utilizing just our social media and like Instagram Live. So we were using that quite frequently. I'm going to share some other slides here. So one of the ones that we started doing right away was our yoga. So these folks actually were doing classes here with us at Tía Chucha's a while back, but then they ended up moving across to North Carolina. And so we're like, well, this is an opportunity to get them back, right? So they're able to, with the 3-hour time difference, 4-hour time difference, whatever it is, they were able to still provide these classes for us online through our Instagram account. Let me see. Oh, there you go. So here's just a screenshot of the class as you would watch it on Instagram. And what's cool about this is that you could then you could go back to our Instagram page and go back to our IGTV, and then you could still you could do the lesson whenever you want, which was pretty cool in terms of the yoga class. Another program we had was Indigenous in Us. This was funded by Cal Humanities. And this project, again, had to adapt, and we had to go virtual, and we started to do just Zoom webinars and Zoom calls. This other one, our Curandismo series, as part of the Indigenous in Us program, it ended up working out really well because we did it Zoom, and all of the maestros and maestras that were facilitating these workshops, all were doing it from Mexico. And it was really great to have them still be able to provide these workshops for free for anybody that registered, and those that didn't or weren't able to watch it, it's all on our YouTube page. So you could access these workshops and all the videos are on our YouTube page. And that's what I really liked about the virtual program, is that I feel the benefit is that now we have an archive, right, of 2020, just all these programs that we've done that people can revisit and will be relevant for a while. This was another one on honoring Tataviam lands and peoples, again, a part of the Indigenous in Us. This was the hummingbird medicine. This was a local sweat lodge that they did another presentation. This one went really well. I think we had a pretty full webinar on this one. It was a really great workshop that happened. This was our Dia de los Muertos programs. Every year we do our Dia de los Muertos programs, and again, similar thing, we provided the materials, and then folks signed up and they came by the space, picked up their supplies, and they're able to do them, follow along while the classes were taught live. And again, you could go back to our YouTube page and rewatch them and participate again. We would also provide material lists so that people, if they weren't able to, if we ran out of materials, people could still do this on their own if they wanted to. Sacred Breath, this is another event that we did online that works with our trauma transformation program. This one was a reentry program with adults. This was such a powerful one, just getting the voices of those individuals and just sharing their stories and holding a space, even in a virtual setting, was so powerful. And we're really, really proud of this one as well. This is one of our teaching artists, Freddie Chavez, doing this was for Camp Page, I believe. This was one of the camps that we work at through the Arts for Healing and Justice Network. They even in the camps were able to do some stuff a little different, based on each camp and each institution. They have their own rules, but we're still able to provide some classes. Here's Elvia, one of our other teaching artists, utilizing the phone for that top bird's eye view. This is a more recent fundraiser that we did with our co-founder, Luis Rodriguez and Sandra Cisneros. Again, Sandra was able to do it from Mexico, right? And we did it through Zoom, and then we streamed it through Facebook and YouTube, and it was interactive Q&A and all that, and it was really cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop there. And again, as I mentioned, I don't think I have it open right now. You know, what I really like is that everything lives now on our YouTube channel, right? And it's accessible. You could go back. So we've been doing monthly social justice book clubs, and these have gone really well. And we've got people tuning in from across the country, which is awesome. So those are, and then we record the Zooms and then we put them on here. And then you could go back and rewatch any of the programs. Our Son Jarocho class with Cesar Castro. These are all our Celebrating Words Festival videos. So yeah, so I think that we were able, it took some time, right? It took a little while to kind of figure it all out and kind of get used to this whole Zoom setup and world. But I think, and it was really like, you know, it was a challenging shift for sure. You know, I mean, again, like everything going on in our communities, right? On top of that. But I think once we were able to wrap our heads around it, we just kept on pushing forward and just tried to do as much as possible, you know, through Zoom. Obviously, you know, there's nothing like in-person interaction, but I think we've been doing the best we can, like many other organizations, to do what we've had to do. One thing I do want to add though is that we are also you know, a small independent bookstore. You know, we have a very curated selection of books, and with the pandemic, we moved everything online, and we've been doing really well online. The bookstore has been doing really well, and you know, people have been really supportive of that. So I definitely encourage folks to check it out if you haven't. We have, again, really great titles, you know, really curated, and you're supporting those funds go back to supporting the work that we do as a nonprofit organization. So if anybody's interested in that, it's tiachucha.org. Click on Bookstore, and you'll see on all that. Again, you know, all of our social media handles are at Tía Chuchas, YouTube Tía Chuchas, and you can see our channel and you can see all of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, we've been able to just, you know, adapt as best as we could. We see what works best for each program, whether that's going to be a Zoom meeting or whether it's going to be streamed through social media, or we're going to try to do something else. It just really depends on the specific program. But you know, we've been now operating in this world for almost a year, right? Going close to a year. So we'll see what the future holds. But I'm looking forward to, you know, hearing from everybody. Any questions, any comments? And then I'll go ahead and pass it back to Kathy. Thank you so much again for having us.
All right, well, thank you so much, Michael. Yeah, I mean, you said it right there. We've all had to adapt, and you spoke especially at the beginning of the pandemic, or at least the lockdown, shutdown, or whatever we want to call it. There wasn't any indication of how long it was going to last. It went from 2 weeks to a month and longer. People were really unsure, not just as individuals, but also as organizations. So it was a question of adapting. And thank you so much for illustrating how one organization has, you know, that served pretty much a really pocketed geographic area, has been able to not only continue offering services, but it has expanded. So I give you props for that. Just gonna shout out to Everto Ruiz, who's joining us from San Fernando Valley. We have Celia Gomez from Eastville, California. Thank you for joining us on Zoom. Here on Facebook, we have Cesar Garcia. He wants live music. Come back, please. Yes, we want that live music back, but we'll watch it online for now. And then Denise Sandoval, a good friend of La Plaza and of Tía Chucha. Go, Mike. All right, so next, let's pass it on over to Kathy Gallegos and Nica Aguino from Avenue 50. So come on up, Kathy.
Okay, so I think Nica was able to get the PowerPoint presentation, and maybe she can share.
Yeah, let me see. This is my first time sharing my screen on Zoom, so let's try it out. Let's see what happens. Okay. All right. Can everyone see this?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to full screen it. Okay, can everyone see this?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, so why don't we go to the next slide, the first slide, because we talked a little bit about our mission and the exhibitions, the 3 to 5 exhibitions we have at in our studio space. So March 17th was the start of the pandemic, the quarantine rather, and I know that date because that's my son's birthday. So on the 17th, you know, we're so used to doing shows online, live in person. We've had up to 10,000 people come through the doors of the Avenue 50 and our other satellite spaces in 1 year. So we had no idea how to switch from live in-person programming to virtual programming. At that time, our only means was our newsletter and Facebook and Instagram, but that, you know, the newsletter was the main form of communication. So all we could think of is we're in this pandemic, we're in this quarantine, we all have to take care of ourselves and be good to others. And so that was our first email that went out to our audience on the 17th. We had no programming to offer because we didn't know how to do it. Next slide. So we were fortunate enough to receive a grant from the Getty Foundation. And this grant helped us to buy the equipment, some of the equipment we needed to go online. I didn't have a laptop. My administrative assistant didn't have a laptop. We couldn't get things done. It also gave us money to hire a digital content coordinator, and that is Nica Aguino, who helped us to raise up to that level of trying to put our programming online. Next slide. So we're an arts organization. We exhibit the work of multicultural artists in our communities, but with a focus on Latino. So how are we going to take those exhibitions and put it to have them virtual? This was what Nica helped us put together. Our very first exhibition was called Art Under the Influence, and we did a call to artists to please submit work about how they're dealing with being quarantined, because we know that artists are the voice of the community. They're the ones that are able to get messages out for everyone. It was a juried show. Our selected jurists were Natalie Sanchez, J. Michael Walker, and Raul de la Sota. This was just the first part. We knew we wanted a community engagement component to this, so we asked our community through Facebook, Instagram, and Facebook, and the newsletter, who they would choose for their favorite artists or the work that speaks mostly to them. Next slide. So these are three of the 30 entries that we chose to be in the show. We were expecting people to vote. Maybe we were expecting about 200 people, but we were surprised to find that we actually received almost 800 responses from our audience. People wanted to engage in their, you know, letting others know what they think is, you know, what speaks to them. And I was pleased after we chose the 3 finalists. We had, you know, we chose 3 finalists who got awards of, you know, some monetary awards. We got responses from our audience saying, those are exactly the people, the artists I chose. So they were thrilled that they could have been part of this interactive jurying. Next slide. You know, you can get those mask required signs from Smart and Final, Home Depot, Staples, but we are a community of artists, and our wealth is with visual artists. So we asked visual artists to please participate with us in our project called Mask Required. We bought this heavy-duty watercolor paper, asked artist Alfonso Aceves to please print Máscara Requerida or Mask Required on these papers, then handed it out to 25 different artists. What we're doing with this is putting it on our front window for those who pass by to encourage them to wear a mask. We're also putting it online for an exhibition of what these artists are doing. These are three, I think, that represent the Mask Required project. Next slide. We also do poetry. La Palabra has been around doing monthly poetry readings since 2001. Our current hostess is Angelina Sainz. She quickly was able to pivot to online poetry readings that she does on Zoom and then posts it to our YouTube page. For the last 2 years, there were 10 poets in 10 weeks. We used to do it once a month, but we've decided to, since it is digitally on Zoom, that we could do it in 10 weeks. These here are just a couple of examples of poets that we've featured on La Palabra. And on the bottom of the screen, you're going to see our poetry reading for 2021. Angelina loves bringing this program online to the community, because she said where we used to gather maybe 25 to 30 people a month, now we're getting, up to 80 people from across the country who are tuning in to our La Palabra readings that are really healthy for the program, but also for the poets themselves. Next slide. So I'm going to hand it off to Nica, who will tell you, as our digital content coordinator, what her role has been and what she's been bringing to the Avenue 50.
Thank you, Kathy. Hi, everyone. I'm Nica Aguino. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm the digital content coordinator at Avenue 50. And so, yeah, like Kathy said, we've been quarantining since last March, and that completely changed everything because, we were used to things a certain way, and then we suddenly had to switch digitally. And so what were we gonna do for that, right? So with this new transition, that meant Kathy had to bring on new help to focus just on that, the digital programming. So I came on to help research digital tools, software, accessible online programming. And so one of the programs I helped develop was Art Hour with Avenue 50. And so basically what I did was look at Avenue 50's following online and see where they had the biggest following. And it was Instagram. So I thought this would be the most accessible for our viewers to just do Instagram lives on Friday nights. Usually people are going out on Friday night looking for something to do, but we're still at home quarantining. So we just thought this was a good opportunity to still give people some entertainment and talk about art and see a real conversation between two people. So me and one of our teammates, our marketing assistant, Sarah, we've been taking turns hosting them on Friday nights. And so part of the program is I helped develop the structure for it and how we conduct the interviews and set up the agenda for how it's going to be streamlined. And so basically what we do is the artists that we have exhibiting at the time, we'll choose a few that we want to engage with and want to learn more about and want everyone else to learn more about. And we'll ask them for information like their websites, their social media, if they have them, just to do more research about them, their art practice, get to learn more about them. And then we develop our questions around the research we've done on the artists. And so, yeah, the talks last for an hour. They're on the Avenue 50 Studio Instagram Live. And then after they're done, I post them on YouTube too, to get more engagement on our YouTube channel and try to help build that. And so the YouTube has been used more now because I think for a while it was kind of just paused a little, and then I just suggested it. Why don't we post the talks on the YouTube channel for people who are unable to join on the Friday nights? They can still always go back on later, or maybe they joined the talk a little bit too late and they missed the beginning part. They can always go back on our YouTube and watch the full talk. Oh, here we go. So here are some of the artists that I interviewed. So bottom left, that's M. Hernandez. And then we had an artist couple, Jolly and Edith de Guzman, and then Mike Saijo on the bottom right. And so these were some of the artists we interviewed for who were finalists in the Art Under the Influence competition. So Sarah and I interviewed them, and we just talked a little bit more about their artwork that was in the competition, so people could get to know a little bit more about it. And then we encouraged them to vote, either for the artists or just vote in general for anyone else part of the competition. And then so now this is what we have online right now as an online exhibition these days, curated by Ramon Ramirez. So back in December, we actually had plans to have the exhibition in person, but then I think we all know what happened around that time. We were hoping things would get better, but the infection rates just kept going up and up. And so we just thought it would be safest to temporarily close and transition the exhibition online. And so Ramon was actually our first guest curator to do an online exhibition for Avenue 50. And so with his help, he helped us coordinate the artist talks that we've been doing on Instagram. And so we're actually having another one this Friday. If any of you would like to join, it's going to be on Avenue 50's Instagram. And so, yeah, right now the exhibition's on the Avenue 50 website if you want to check out the works. And something that I thought was really interesting that Ramon brought up was in his curatorial statement, he says, the rules are different now. There kind of are no rules, right? And so with that in mind, I really enjoyed how, so he already had the works picked out and I helped design it for him on the website and do the layout for him. And so what he had in mind to just plan for additional engagement was he had a few artists submit some new work once a week and add it to the online exhibition just to keep the momentum going and have something new every week. So that's really something that I appreciated that he brought up. Just that the rules are different right now and there kind of are no rules and it's really flexible. And we just really appreciate all our supporters who've been really patient with us during this transition and just like this huge digital experiment, because, you know, none of us are used to this. So thank you, everyone. And then, yes, thank you for having us tonight.
Well, thank you so much, Nica, for helping Kathy out with the PowerPoint, but also for your presentation here. Some incredible work that we could see just virtually right now, just on the PowerPoint that you presented. But if both of you, or Kathy, Nica, and Michael, on the comment section, write down your where people could view this, your website name and your Instagram handles or whatever handles you'd like to put on there, and then I'll go ahead and put them on our Facebook page as well, so that people can enjoy and how to find out about these activities that are going on. So let's start with you, Michael. What has been you talked about the challenges early on of having to switch to all virtual versus just having some things virtually. What has been the biggest challenge for Tía Chucha's, both as an organization and for you personally, and going virtual?
I think I feel there's a lot of challenges for sure early on, just because there's a lot of uncertainty, and even with funding, right? A lot of funders shifted to address the pandemic, and so we did lose some funding, but we were very fortunate to receive some relief grants. And honestly, if it wasn't for all those relief grants, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in now. So I'm really appreciative of all that we're able to receive. Because again, like if it wasn't for that support, we wouldn't be here. So financially, I think that was a heavy on in the beginning, just because there's so uncertainty, and I think that was the biggest challenge for the organization, right? Not knowing whether or not we were going to be able to keep everybody at their salaries, if we we're going to have to let people go or cut hours. Again, there's just so much uncertainty, even from the funders themselves, right? Everybody was just trying to figure it out. But I think as the months progress, I think the challenges shifted to just kind of figuring out what is the best way to adapt, and to be able to try to provide like the same quality of programs, right? Like Kathy mentioned, we're a cultural center, and we're just used to people coming through the doors.
Yeah.
And we have a community, and I think a big challenge was just that disconnect that youth are feeling, that people are feeling. And obviously we're doing our best in the virtual world, but it's not the same, right? So like youth are exhausted from being in school all day on Zoom, and then to try to, say, hey, come do this workshop or this activity after on Zoom again for another hour, I tell people I get tired after 2 Zoom meetings, I'm like 2-hour Zoom meetings, 3-hour Zoom meetings, 2 1-hour meetings in one day. That's a lot. So I can imagine like, the young folks having to go through that. So it's just, there's been so many, I think though, on the flip side though, there's been a lot of positives, right? Like y'all shared as well. Now we're like, in some cases, some of our programs, we have more people now attending, right? Like our social justice book club, where we would have, I don't know, maybe like at one point we had 30 people on Zoom from all over, not just from our area, but from other states. So there's definitely been a lot of positive sides to it. But I think it's just uncertainty, right? Because even at a certain point, you have to say, okay, we're gonna stick to this for X amount of time, So like even right now, we're planning for the rest of the year to be virtual, right? So now we're like on the flip side. Before we're like virtual will be for a couple months, but now we're like, okay, let's just plan the rest of the year to be virtual. If anything changes, then we adapt the other way, right? So I think it's just so much uncertainty, obviously. And then, I mean, in addition to that, we also have, Pacoima and Silmar were 2 of the neighborhoods that were impacted the most by COVID in LA County. So we were also dealing with all of that reality, right? Of our families, our participants, our staff, our board members. So many people have been impacted by it. So I think that's also the reality that we're living into.
All right, Kathy, how could you answer that question regarding the impact? You talked about some of the challenges, of course, and you were pretty fortunate. I'm sure not by luck, but by planning or the connections that you had of being able to bring in Nica to assist in the virtual world. But beyond that, what's been the biggest challenge and reward of working during these times?
The biggest challenge is not having people come into the gallery. I feel at the very beginning, the first few months, I felt like it was a haunted house there, or it was like, time just kind of suddenly stopped because we had exhibitions up. And so the only things that were coming in were like the spider webs and the spiders, and the ghosts, because there was nobody there. And I would walk around the gallery and think, what are we going to do, but like Michael said, thank God for the funders. I mean, they stepped up. They understand that they need to do more because the arts can't survive. We can't survive this if we cannot open our doors. towards the end, towards, I guess, the middle of last year, we built a stage behind the building in order to have live programming out there. But we can't do live programming. What we're thinking of doing in this year is that we're hoping that we can put artwork back up on the walls. We can invite people to come out by appointment only. We can continue with our our art hours. And one thing Nica didn't talk about was that she had actually interviewed artists in front of their work at the gallery and made these very complete videos with music and questions being asked of the artists and their artwork, talking about their artwork. They were very lovely. We did 2 of them, and we hope that we can continue doing more of those. And like Michael said, some of our programming has expanded. You know, for example, the poetry reading, which is going across the country. People from across the country are now enjoying the poetry, but also poets from across the country can also participate from their living room. We also thought we were not going to be able to survive if we didn't get any funding by this year, the end of last year. Like I said, we did get the funding, but we are still living. It helped us to continue living on our rainy day fund. So, you know, thank God for that rainy day fund where we were able to save some money that we can continue moving. But, you know, there's still bills to be paid, you know, and even though some bills have gone down, there are still major bills. We want to continue employing people. We know that they need to work and we need to have them work for us. Without them, we're nothing. We also know that we need the building, so we have to pay the rent and the utilities. So this is where the help from the funders comes in, because, you know, we want them to pay for those operational supports. Oh, and that's the other thing. Thank God that the funders are starting to understand the importance right now in this world of operational support, because this is where we can put that money in to take care of the building and the utilities and salaries, so that we can focus on more virtual programming and increase virtual programming and possible, you know, live programming with fewer people. So that's what we're looking forward to this year. Live programming, fewer people.
And Nica, you came in during the pandemic, or were you already in place when Avenue 50 stopped opening their doors?
So I started right at the beginning of summer. Once Avenue 50 was awarded the Getty grant, that helped Kathy get some more help and just figure out how to transition. Because, you know, it's a lot to take in, and especially since we're not used to this, it's like, where do you even start? So to have someone just dedicated to looking that up and researching and looking at what other spaces are doing, I think it was a big help for us, to just have me be a dedicated person to focus on that. So then, you know, Kathy can worry about other things and try her best to, you know, still keep Avenue 50 open. So yeah, it was right at the beginning of summer, and I was really fortunate for the opportunity because, you know, a lot of places were closing and losing staff, and, you know, we were really lucky that Kathy was actually able to get more help.
All right, and just curious, what is your background in this field?
Okay, so I'm also an artist, but fun fact, I'm also, I was a former marketing assistant of Kathy's. So I helped her a little bit with some of the digital marketing, but through this new position that she asked if I was interested in taking on, she asked, hey, would you want to try this out? And so I said, yeah, let's do it. And it was a learning experience for me too, because even though I had experience in digital marketing, I didn't know how to use Zoom. We hardly knew how to navigate the YouTube and stuff. So it was a lot of stuff that I had to look up, and a lot of trial and error. And same thing with the Instagram Live. We had never done anything like that before. And there was so much troubleshooting that we had to go through with the first few artists that we interviewed, but it worked out.
All right, good. And now for all of you, what would be the advice that you would give to maybe other arts organizations that maybe, I'm sure they have by now, but just in case they've been reluctant to or been slowly getting into the virtual realm to further their mission, to stay connected to their communities, what advice would you give to them? Anyone could speak up on that one.
To just do it, not worry about the professionalism of it. I mean, we can tell you stories about our professionalism, but one artist made us feel really, really wonderful. He said, you guys are very authentic. And I said, yes, I love that. We're authentic. We're from the heart. We are trying. It's trial and error. You just have to do it. And nothing lasts forever. And so just try it. You can always learn, and then pretty soon you'll be adding your own little personality to it. I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're starting to put personality. We just came up a few months ago with the Art Hour with Avenue 50. I mean, we didn't even know what to call it. So we named it, and we're getting more professional. And I'm going to tell them one funny story, Nica. And our very first Instagram, we didn't know that things were posted backwards. So we held up a sign that said, please support, this is our, our creative way of giving credits, right? And we said, please help support Avenue 50 by donating to, and it was totally backwards.
It was really funny, actually. Yeah. Because, we had never done Instagram Live. And then same with me, like just personally, I've never used Instagram Live. And so, yeah, when we did our first one, I drew out these really nice handmade signs that said, thank you, and please support, please donate. Thank you to our funders. And everyone was commenting, Nica, it's backwards. We can't read it. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so
where we learned, because she edited it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like it's the right way. So then we realized what we had to do when we held up those signs. We had to write them backwards or change it before it went on YouTube. But I mean, we made all kinds of mistakes, and we could laugh about it afterwards, but that's how you learn. You learn by making mistakes. And so that's the advice I'd give to other organizations. Just do it and make the mistakes. And
we might have to edit the beginning part of this.
That's a good thing, though. You can always edit later in the post-production.
How about you, Michael? What advice would you give to other nonprofit organizations or any small business that is looking towards launching something or just maintaining their virtual presence? What would you say to them?
I mean, I feel like when you look at, especially in the beginning, right, when we're all kind of figuring it all out and trying to deal with what's going on, the one of the big things that people have gone to during this time has been arts and culture, so it's vital, it's important. I think that has something that we all have learned, is that how important it is and how much people need it in their lives, right, to just kind of deal with the day-to-day. So that form of expression in whatever form it takes. So I mean, if you're an arts organization, like, we need you out as whatever form that means, whatever mistakes you make, like, we just need more of it right now. So I think that's really important. And we made the same mistake too. We had a little readers. We were reading children's books live on Instagram, and the camera was flipped, right? So then the book was flipped, and then after, like, oh yeah, the camera. So I mean, you just learn. That's how you learn, though, right? You learn, and then you adapt, and then just keep moving forward.
Well, thank you so much. Well, thank you to the three of you for sharing your experiences, for sharing the work that you've been producing over these past few months. We have Everto Ruiz. Gracias to these organizations and artists that enrich our cultura. Adelante. Bess Petlak is asking, once the shutdown is completely lifted, how likely would you be to keep an active Zoom or virtual presence?
You know, I think there's a lot of benefits to doing some stuff in Zoom and doing some stuff, you know, in person. I, for one, you know, we're out here in the Valley and we're always going to meetings in LA, so I don't miss having to drive an hour in traffic and then an hour back for a 30-minute meeting, you know. So I definitely see like meetings being able to be virtually and in person. I think there's going to be a staggering process, like similar what Kathy was saying, booking people by appointments, right? I think there's going to be a slow process for people to feel comfortable to gather again. So I feel like there is going to be that period where we're kind of figuring out again, like how much of it should be in Zoom, virtual versus in person. But I definitely think that there are some instances where you could do both, you know, and you could do stuff live, and then some people that don't want to come in person, maybe there's a way to provide a virtual experience for them so they can participate as well.
All right.
I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that. And that's a really good question. I think that especially our La Palabra poetry host, she loves being on Zoom and reaching across the country. So I know I might have a hard time bringing her back, you know, but I think that we can do both. Just like Nica is taking video of the exhibitions, she's doing it and interviewing the artists at the gallery. I think we'll continue doing something like that for sure.
All
I think
right.
so
Well,
too. Can I
no, go
can
ahead.
I just say one more thing? Sorry. Yeah, I agree with what both Kathy and Michael are saying. I really enjoy how accessible it is. You know, like Michael said earlier, it is super draining to be on the computer all day. But you know, something I really like is say we have an artist walk through at the gallery or something, or a tour, something like that. You know, maybe we'll get about 10, 20 people, 20 visitors. But I mean, like for our last artist talk, or one of our last ones that we did with Ramon Ramirez, we had 175 viewers. So I just told Kathy, imagine if we had that artist talk in the gallery, that's like 175 people attending, and they're from everywhere. So I don't know, I think we should do both, because for people from out of town, or maybe someone is disabled, someone is sick, they can still have access to art.
No, that's a good point. They have access to art at the moment, and then they have access to art that's been archived, in your case on YouTube or on your website or wherever else you choose to store your art, and it could be enjoyed forever, from wherever.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit that we've been seeing as well at La Plaza de Cultura y Arte. So thank you to the three of you. Thank you to all our viewers here. Elizabeth Martinez, I'm learning so much. Thank you all so very mucho, and you're welcome. Elizabeth, we have here on Facebook, let's see, Liz Espinosa saying, I miss coming into the gallery. I think she's referring to Avenue 50. But I've also been happy to be able to follow along on Instagram, especially since I can't get out as much as I'd like to. So I love the virtual opportunities to see the art. And Elizabeth, again, I represent a Latino artist born and raised in LA who's 88 years old and still active with his art. Art Center alumni Paul Martinez Jr., class of 59. He's a retired art instructor and graphic designer. Congratulations there. And then Jennifer Conter, thank you for working so hard to make art accessible to all. So thank you all out there for joining us tonight. Just a couple quick commercials. You could find all of La Plaza de Cultura y Artes in Casa con La Plaza sessions. We're at about 120 something. since April on our YouTube site at La Plaza LA, on our Facebook page that are, and just click on videos, and also on our website at lapca.org. You could catch all upcoming sessions on our website, lapca.org. It's on our homepage. You just click on En Casa con la Plaza, and you'll find out that this Friday we have La Música Tropical in LA with Guido Herrera Yance from Yambu Productions. He's been a radio and music event producer. He's produced La Plaza's Summer of Salsa series the past few years. And he's also hosted the Cuban American Music Festival. So we'll be talking about his career as a tropical music producer, impresario. And then he'll be showing some clips of such groups as Los Van Van, El Gran Combo de Puerto Rico, and a lot of local groups as well. And then next week, we're taking Monday off for President's Day, but we'll continue on Tuesday, come back with Gilbert R. Vasquez as a Mexican-American history maker. And then on Friday, Dan Guerrero Happy Hour with Josefina Lopez. So you can catch all that on lapca.org, get the calendar. If you, any of you, if you didn't catch this whole thing, again, come to our YouTube channel. And we have something else that you might all benefit from on our website. And I'll share the screen with you here. We have a dedicated page to our community. It's called La Plaza Comunidad. So all of you that are out there and that you have events scheduled at your location, you could send it to us and we'll post it. Here we have Cooking with LACMA Friday, the February 9th, so we're a little bit behind. But we have Santa Cruz Museum of Art, their foldable butterfly Valentine Day cards. So yeah, send it to A de la Peña, ADELAPENA at lapca.org. I'll forward it to our person on staff that's doing this Comunidad page, and then she will follow up with you after that. So take advantage of that. We support our community by hosting these types of sessions, and we're glad that you're here as well. So thanks again to our sponsors. Who are our sponsors? Kaiser Permanente, PepsiCo, and all of you for joining us. Buenas noches a todos. Buenas noches, Kathy, Michael, Nica, and we'll see you all soon on En Casa con la Plaza. Bye-bye.